Our guest today is the governor of Illinois. He has been a public servant for the people of Illinois for more than a quarter century, both as a citizen and as a public official. He has focused on restoring ethics to state government and fighting for programs like the Haymarket Center, the Special Olympics, Misericordia, and special children's charities. He is a graduate of Northwestern University and holds an international economics degree from Georgetown University. Ladies and gentlemen, the governor of the state of Illinois, Pat Quinn. Governor Quinn.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here at the City Club. It's always a special opportunity to visit with a lot of men and women from our state who are committed to the common good. And I'm always inspired when I come here. It's a good opportunity to answer questions, and I know we'll have an opportunity to do that. I thought I'd make a few remarks, and then we'll take it from there. I certainly salute my good friend Rahm Emanuel, who I've known for 31 years. I've known him for a long time. And I said yesterday he has enormous energy and tremendous idealism, and I look forward to working with him for the good of Chicago, where I live, and on the west side, and also for the good, obviously, of our whole state of Illinois. We've got to work together, all the cities, the counties. I think Tony Preckwinkle is here today, and really enjoyed working with Tony. I think we have a good team. Ron and Tony and myself, as three of the top executives in Illinois, we have to work together on a lot of tough challenges. We believe in jobs and economic growth, and that's really job one for all of us in Illinois, and we've got work to do. I do want to say a word or two about cooperation and teamwork. One of my brothers, my youngest brother, high school basketball coach for 31 years, he believes in teamwork, and occasionally have somebody on the team that thinks it's all about himself, and they learn from the bench about teamwork. It's an enormous, and it's a great teacher. And I think it's important that we understand, not just in Illinois, I think we have the ingredients of folks working together, but in our region. We live in the Midwest, we live in the heartland of America. We are the capital of the Midwest, Illinois. And our city here of Chicago is the capital of the Midwest. That's why we're building a high-speed rail network in the Midwest to connect Chicago to all the other cities and to have a world-class system. Occasionally, there are governors of other states that listen to ankle biters and forget that we are all in this together. And so I do want to point out that I have been a chairman of the Great Lakes Commission that deals with its 8 states and 2 Canadian provinces. We fight hard for the Great Lakes and the largest freshwater supply in the world. And we've got to work together on that. Same way with respect to high-speed rail I just mentioned, and also the whole idea of cooperation. We had the president of China visit very recently, and their Commerce Commissioner as well, a very important person, and he told me 3 or 4 times, over and over again, Illinois is the bridge to the entire Midwest. Illinois is the way that they are going to connect with their investment to the entire heartland of America. We're the inland port of the whole United States. We exported tremendous amounts of goods and import and distribute many goods all across the Midwest and heartland. So it's important to understand that Illinois is a very strong state when it comes to the economy. We have 2/3 of $1 trillion in state domestic product every year. If that was measured against other countries, we're the 18th largest economy in the whole world. And so we should not forget the strength of our state, especially the 13 million people of Illinois. They are the heart and soul of Illinois and our economy. They have great work ethic, great skills. We have great markets. And I'm here today as a governor of our state to salute those men and women who raise kids, work jobs, pay taxes, and make sure we have a strong state now and in the future. And I just want to say, if we were here a couple of weeks ago, we had a devastating blizzard. one of the worst we ever had in the whole history of Illinois and our country. And I want to salute those workers, public workers of Illinois, who are in unions, who understand the importance of collective bargaining and negotiating. I've been there. I don't always agree with the unions, and they don't agree with me. But I do believe in the process of unions organizing their members and then bargaining on wages and working conditions and making sure that we do things right. We have Jorge Ramirez here today, who is the head of the Chicago Federation of Labor. Jorge. And with him is Jim Connolly of the laborers. They know how to work. And I want to thank the laborers and the Teamsters and all of those public servants who 3 or so weeks ago, in this devastating blizzard, we cleared 16,800 miles of road in Illinois. Our workers did in round-the-clock operations, 12-hour shifts, in whiteout conditions. We deployed the National Guard. We rescued hundreds and hundreds of people who were stranded. Public servants did that. And it's important not to forget that. That is, when there is an emergency, when people are really worried about their safety, we better have good public works and good public workers. And so I believe in that, and I did want to say that at the outset today. When I was here last, I spoke about the troubles that Illinois had with respect to its finances. We've enacted very strong ethics laws, very important to make sure we get our state going in the right direction. We have, since I last spoke, I think done some impressive things with respect to our economy. Last year, we created more jobs in Illinois than any other state in the Midwest, by far. Wisconsin, Indiana, way behind. Illinois was number one. We were fourth in the nation at job creation. Our friends in New Jersey, I guess their governor was here not too long ago, they were last in the country at job creation, okay? The day he arrived, I was in Bloomington, Illinois, Bloomington Normal, where we announced 1,200 new jobs at Mitsubishi making vehicles. We do that very well in Illinois. We know how to make things. A year ago, Ford announced a $400 million investment on the south side of Chicago, making a new Ford Explorer that's 30% more energy efficient, fuel efficient, a new shift. Those workers are one of their best in the whole world. And same way with Chrysler, Fiat Chrysler now in Belvedere, $600 million investment in Illinois. Navistar, taking jobs from Indiana and consolidating and building and growing here in Illinois. They make all kinds of vehicles, Navistar. They're into manufacturing, and they know where to go when it comes to good, hardworking men and women in building and making things. Boeing, for the first time ever, building airplanes on the Illinois side of the river. So we're very, very happy with the economic growth. We have a long way to go. We knocked down our unemployment last year in Illinois. I consider economic growth our fundamental and highest priority. Everything in our government at the local level, state level, should be focused on growing the economy, because the best way to help people is a job. It's the best way to fight crime, best way to fight poverty, best way to keep families together. So we have to keep creating jobs, and that's what I want to focus on as governor. Everything we do in our government is focused on that. So I think that's important, and part of growing jobs is having budget stability of the state of Illinois. Now, I didn't create the budget deficit that I inherited when I became governor a couple years ago. That was created over about 3 decades of inaction or lack of attention. It caused great problems to Illinois. We have a multi-billion-dollar deficit, and we have to, if we're going to have good growth, stabilize our budget and do some tough things necessary to have fiscal stability. So we did that. We did that in January. We got more revenue to pay the bills, but we have more to do. We have to make sure that our state cuts its costs. We've enacted a fundamental Medicaid reform. We've enacted what's called budgeting for results. We've enacted spending caps. These are all tough things. Just yesterday, there was a group of legislators who didn't vote for the revenue, who aren't for any kind of strategic borrowing, who are for cuts, nameless cuts, and we're crying about the economies that we had to make in our budget. Well, we can't have that. Inaction is not a policy. Saying no is not a policy. If somebody doesn't like what I propose, I live in a democracy, I understand that there's a give and take, But the notion of just being in rope-a-dope, where you say nothing at all or no, and then have no specifics about what your alternative is, that is not a good way to move to the future. So I want to be very challenging and provocative to our legislature. If they have different ideas, let's hear them, and let's work together on implementing fiscal stability. One of my ideas is to take the debt, about $8.7 billion of unpaid bills that Illinois has had, accumulated over many, many years, Democrats and Republicans. Governors, both Democrat and Republican, help create this debt. Well, we have to deal with it. We have to pay it. The honest thing to do to help businesses in Illinois that do business in our state, to help, for example, RTA, that's owed $280 million. That's the CTA, Metra, PACE. They get people to work. I believe in work. I think that's one of the best things human beings can do, is labor and work, and we honor work. So the folks who are getting our men and women to work, they got to get paid what they're owed by the state of Illinois to keep the trains running. And so it's important that we pay these bills and pay them promptly. Over the years, 6-8 month delay, slow pay in paying the bills. We have a plan, it's called a debt restructuring plan. Now, we already owe the debt. We owe this money, but we want to pay it off as quickly as possible so we can help our economy, pay the bills, keep people working, get new people working, get folks to work. So I propose that, working with other members of the legislative branch, we've got to come together to get a solution on this. And I think it's important that we do it and do it quickly. If we don't, if Illinois continues to be a slow-pay state, the studies have found that we're paying a premium to our vendors who just pad their bids and make us pay more for the things that we're buying because they know they're going to have to wait months at a time to get paid. The estimates are that we're losing about $700 to $1 billion a year because of Illinois' failure to pay its bills on time. That's one of my goals in the first half of this year, is to stimulate the Illinois economy by making sure we pay the bills. We also have to stimulate the Illinois economy by working with our businesses. I mentioned Ford and Chrysler, Navistar, Boeing, many, many more. Small businesses that may not be household words. We want to make sure that small business means big business in Illinois, that those small businesses grow and develop. That's why we believe, and I was just at a Green Summit earlier before I came here today, all these small, embryonic businesses in many cases, they're involved in energy efficiency or renewable energy, understand water conservation. We have to understand that a green way of thinking and a green way of acting is imperative in Illinois. It's imperative not only for our environment, but it's very, very important for job creation. We want green-collar jobs, jobs that stay in our own backyard, jobs that aren't exported to a foreign country. By definition, they stay in our own backyard and they pay high wages. So we've invested a lot of money, a lot of effort in our state, building our wind farms across Illinois, and then the wind turbines that are part of those wind farms, and the components that go in those wind farms, on and on. So we have great opportunity in the green economy, and that's one of the things I believe strongly in. I also believe in broadband, making sure that we have everybody included with respect to access to high-speed internet. If we were here 50 years ago, they were building the interstate highway system all across Illinois, all across America. Great investment in productivity in our country. We have to do the same thing with a broadband high-speed network in Illinois. We want to make sure that everybody is included, and so anything we do with respect to our highways, we're laying fiber. We have money in our budget to match up with federal opportunities for competitive grants to invest in high-speed internet in every part of our state. We can't exclude anyone. It's very important for the future economy. We also understand that there are small companies. There's one that had about 8 employees in 2008. Now they have 1,300 employees. That's Groupon, right here in our own backyard, right here in Illinois. People who are innovative. We can't miss the boat when it comes to technology. We have lots of smart people, great universities, research labs that are focused on technology and doing things in a positive way in the future. Groupon, for example, is the fastest growing company ever in America. And we've got to work with companies like that. And that's why in my budget address last week, we talked about an innovation council in Illinois. We're going to start that council The chairman of that council is Brad Keywell, who was one of the original investors in Groupon. Now, we have to really spawn these kinds of smaller businesses that may not be household words today, but they will be in the future. We also believe in trade. Illinois is a huge exporting state, almost $50 billion. We want to double that in the next 5 years. We want to hit $100 billion in the next 5 years. We can do this. There's a reason that China came here. They understand how important Illinois is to the world economy. 1/4 of all of our soybeans, 25% of our Illinois soybeans, are exported to one country, China. And they got a lot of mouths to feed. And it's very, very important that we see the opportunity, seize that opportunity. When the Chinese president was here, we signed agreements for billions of dollars and for selling soybeans to China and many other goods and services. And we encourage their investment in our state to build things here in Illinois. There's a solar factory in Rockford, Chinese company that is creating solar collectors, building them there. We want to make sure that we seize that opportunity and get as much investment as we possibly can. Illinois is the largest exporting state in the union that is not on a coast. We can really do a great deal of good if we have an export-focused economy. And so I want to make sure our state government, we welcome foreign visitors and foreign dignitaries. We work with them on trade deals. That's part of my job, to work night and day on making Illinois welcoming to the world. But we also believe in the good old-fashioned infrastructure of roads and bridges, safe bridges, making sure we have good water systems. You know, Mark Twain died more than 100 years ago, and he once said, "Whiskey's for drinking, and water's worth fighting for." So I believe in that. We're going to fight hard for water in Illinois. We got Lake Michigan over here. We got the Illinois River that connects the Great Lake to the Great River, Mississippi. 583 miles of Illinois' border, Mississippi River. We have to understand that water is a precious resource, and we can't take it for granted. In our bill that we passed several years ago, 2 years ago, the Job Recovery Act, we have a $31 billion investment in roads and bridges and water systems, in rail systems. We want to have a fast train that connects Chicago to St. Louis, so Cub fans can go to St. Louis very, very quickly and hopefully see better results. Now, there are some governors, unfortunately, in the Midwest who are turning back money for high-speed rail. We're getting some of that money to build our high-speed rail. We'd like to build a fast train to Detroit or to Indianapolis, to Iowa City, wherever possible. Right now, we've had tremendous growth in passenger ridership on our railroad lines across Illinois and on our freight lines as well. We have to understand that railroads are part of Illinois' history and its future. So we invest in our rail to make sure it's safe and sound and fast and affordable. We also understand the importance of building schools and public buildings, doing them in the right way. We do it in a LEED certified way, an energy efficient way. We don't want to build anything or remodel anything unless it's energy efficient. That's a smart way. It saves taxpayers money today and tomorrow. And it also creates jobs. And it also gives people skills at doing things in a new way. Our workers know how to do things in an energy efficient way. So this is very, very important that we invest in infrastructure. I want to thank our labor unions and all of those who worked together to pass this law that we had a couple years ago called the Capital Bill, the Job Recovery Bill. We have to keep doing it. Right now we have in our state $1.5 billion of need to just fix up and maintain our public buildings and our university buildings. So we want to make sure they are energy efficient, that we use technology in our internet and our computers in a way that help make our government as smart as it can be. Really see opportunities for the smart grid. I was talking to John Hooker here from Commonwealth Edison about the importance of having an electric grid that is 21st century ready, that uses the internet. The most complicated machine ever devised by human beings is the electric grid. And we know there are high-wage jobs in making sure that we have a smart grid, as it's called. We have to make those investments, but we have to do it in a way that's fair to consumers, fair to taxpayers, and definitely creates jobs in our own backyard. Now, in conclusion, I believe in not only in infrastructure building things, but also in human infrastructure, human capital. We can never, ever forget that in an information economy that we currently live in, whether you're living here in Chicago or you live anywhere in Illinois, it's all about brains. We have to muster as many brains as we can to compete in a global economy. Jobs follow brain power. We have to invest in early childhood education. I believe in that. And in a tough budget, and it is tough, it's very hard sometimes to balance everything. You have human services, you have public safety, you have health care for people who have no health care at all, and then you also have education. These are 4 core priorities that matter to everyday people. But it is very, very important that we understand that investing in education pays great dividends today and tomorrow. Investing in early childhood, investing in K to 12. We don't want any state to out-educate Illinois. That is key. We've got to invest in our education, accountable education, making sure that our students have good teachers and accountable teachers. And we have to make sure our community colleges are second to none. There are 1 million students in community college in Illinois. I used to teach community college at night, and I know how important it is. The average age of somebody going to community college in Illinois is 31 years old. If we're going to be nimble in a global economy, we've got to have people who sometimes have to go back to school to learn how to be a welder, to learn some new skill, to be a nurse, if they get a bad break in the economy. That's what our community colleges do. We have the 3rd largest network of community colleges in the whole United States. We have to invest in those community colleges and maintain their good work. Help our veterans who are coming back, oftentimes using their new GI Bill of Rights to go to community college or to four-year university. We've got great premier four-year universities, public universities in Illinois. I know that Chris Kennedy is going to be speaking shortly. I appointed him to the Board of Trustees of the University of Illinois, and I nominated him to be the chairman. And we have the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana, where the world's fastest computer is being built right now. We also have the University of Illinois at Springfield, University of Illinois at Chicago, one of the greatest research universities in the United States right now. And we can keep growing that. So we have to understand that investing in human beings, in education, is the key to being successful in a global economy. And I just want to finish with my vision for the future of Illinois. My vision means, I think, that in order to have a good future, we have to make sacrifices in the present. Some of them are tough. But we have to make those sacrifices because Americans have always believed in making sure that they take good care of their kids. Parents will sacrifice some of their present to help their kids' future. We have to have that attitude in Illinois, whether you're in Chicago or anywhere in Illinois, that we do have to do some tough things, challenging things now in order to have a better future. And what is that better future? We want children to go to a safe school and have a top-notch education. We want to make sure their parents have a good job, a decent job that pays a decent wage, and that their employers give them that opportunity to have a middle-class standard of living. We want to make sure that our homes are energy efficient, technology connected, and our homes are safe. Those are things that everybody wants. I think we can do that. I think it's everybody in and nobody left out when it comes to building a better Illinois. And I think all of us today believe in that mission, and if we come together, work together in good faith, we can make the will of people the law of the land. Thank you very much. Okay, ready to go.
Well, you're right up here. Ginny, raise your hand. Where's Catherine? If you have a question, remember, legibility really helps. Joy Saxon, Board of Governors. Are we going to follow the example of Governor of Wisconsin? What's your take on his action? Always start off with a softball. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I do know Scott Walker. I don't agree with Scott Walker on some fundamental things. He wants to undo the federal health care reform. I think that would be very unwise, and our state is not joining in a lawsuit to strike that down. Obviously, the issue of the day is I think, act by the governor there to bust the public employee unions. I think that's just plain wrong. It's very, very, I think, ill-considered and short-sighted. As I mentioned earlier, I had to work to pass public pension reform in our state. George Will said it's the farthest-reaching public pension reform ever enacted by any state in the history of the United States. I signed that bill. I was booed by many unions when I did, Matter of fact, I received a 3-minute standing ovation. But I believe in collective bargaining, and I don't believe in extinguishing the ability to bargain, because part of having a good state is having civility and talking issues out, having a dialogue. The effort, frankly, the unions up in Wisconsin have already indicated their willingness to make concessions on health care as well as pension, but the governor insists on breaking their union. I don't think that's right, and I don't think Americans believe in that. And we're happy to have Wisconsin legislators visit here. So I don't think that's a prescription for success, and I think we need to resist that. And our state, we have some tough bargaining ahead. We're going to do more pension reform. We're going to do more with respect to health care issues and retirees. We're going to do a lot with respect to work comp and things like that. We've got to do it together where everybody's in a room. There'll be a lot of perhaps back and forth, but I think that's the way you resolve problems in a democracy. Okay? All right, here you go.
Here we go. Now, you got that one out of the way. Now let's get to some. They're not so easy. Melinda Kelly, where are you, Melinda? Raise your hand. All right, there. Chatham Bus Association. Guest of Walgreens. Always nice to say that. Are you in support of the bill that will bring a $3 billion gasification plant to the south side of Chicago? Yeah, you ready to answer that question? Oh,
Well, the bill passed the legislature late at night. That's many weeks ago. It's still on my desk. I think we have until mid-March to make a final decision on it. I would invite anyone with an opinion on the bill to send it to me. I like to study these rather intricate issues. As probably most folks know, I helped start the Citizen Utility Board back in 1982 and 3. And I want to make sure that consumers are treated fairly when it comes to utility issues. We do believe in jobs, but we have to make sure that we have a sustainable future in Illinois. I'm frankly not overly happy when you have kind of piecemeal approaches to issues that might be better off done in a comprehensive way. For example, I believe in energy efficiency, renewable energy from the wind, from sun, from biomass. I don't want those left behind by something else. So I do think doing things in a holistic manner is much more successful for the society as a whole and for jobs. So I'm going to look at that bill. I haven't decided it yet. I'm going to make a decision within a month, certainly. And anybody who has an opinion, I'm happy to hear it.
all right. I like that. You had a boofication?
Standing ovation.
A standing buvation. Keep that in mind. Okay. Joel Effrick, the Respiratory Health Association. Where are you, Joel? There he is. Very nice writing, by the way. Printing, good. You are probably the greenest and most pro-consumer governor in Illinois history. Don't get excited. It's not going to get a softball. 2 bills on your desk to approve new coal plants in Chicago will pollute the air and hurt consumers with the above-market natural gas prices. Will you veto? I guess, will you veto the legislation?
Well, I believe in zealous advocacy, so I'm glad that Joel is here. He's a zealous advocate. I want to hear from you. And, you know, it's very important that we understand we live in a non-attainment area. That means that we have serious pollution problems in Illinois. We have to address those. We don't want to compound the problem. I think there's economic opportunity in reducing pollution and emissions, not only here in the Chicago area, but all across Illinois. So that's sort of what I bring to any review of a bill. And, you know, on that bill that we really just talked about, I'd be glad to continue to review it. I have a lot of bills on my desk still. Some of them are very, very important bills. And I do believe in a democracy it's helpful to have people, sometimes on both sides of the issue, have their opportunity to speak to the governor, to the executive branch. They may have already testified, legislation passed, but the governor's the final person that really is in the lawmaking process. I'm the goalie. If I see something that isn't right, I'll veto it, and that's always what I've done. Okay?
The track gets a little thicker. Bob Geld, State Director, AARP. Where are you, Bob? Yep. Right there. Very close. And to the people I had lunch with, I'm just reading these questions. Sources indicate ComEd donated $1 million to candidates in the last election cycle. Now they are proposing legislation to circumvent the ICC for future rate increases. AARP's 1.8 million members in Illinois want to know if you will veto any such legislation if it reaches you. Track's getting a little thicker, isn't it?
Well, the governor does have veto power, and I'm prepared to use it appropriately. The bill is in the legislature right now, so rather than talk about veto, I think it's important to work with all the parties, starting with consumers, taxpayers, workers, on any kind of legislation dealing with utilities. I think it's very important legislation. I've been doing this since I got the Cub referendum on the ballot here in Chicago and 114 other towns in 1983, and that's how we passed the Citizen Utility Board, which is Illinois' largest consumer group, and it works very closely with AARP, of which I'm a member. I've joined AARP. A lot of discounts. I recommend that to anybody over 50. Yeah. And, you know, I really see what we want to do in Illinois is have a smart grid. It sounds good if you say it fast, the smart grid. How do you get there? We've got to work together on making sure we have the wherewithal to invest in this. This is going to make sure we have smart highways and smart homes, smart businesses. It'll save energy, but we got to do it in a way that's fair to consumers and to the public. So, you know, I look forward to working with the company as well as consumers and making it happen. Our state, we do believe in investing now to make things better in the future. That's why we have the biggest public works program in the whole United States going on right now in Illinois. Last year was the biggest road building program we've ever had in the state of Illinois. And there's a reason why. We took care of, I think, 4,800 miles of roads, 500 bridges. We have more to do this year. And those laborers who are represented by Jim Conley and the operating engineers and all the other trade unions, we owe them a debt of gratitude. They make things safer. Last year, we had the fewest traffic fatalities in our state since 1921. That's a good record, and we want to keep it going.
Remember, Governor, we always invite you. You know, you always have a friend here at the City Club. Now 3 questions dealing with education. From Maureen Kelly from St. Xavier University. From Christy Hansen, who calls herself a concerned parent of school-age children. Where are you, Christy? Right here. All right. And where's Maureen? Over here. Is Sister Sue with you? No. Good. Okay. I'm safe. I'm safe on that one. And Demetra, where are you, Demetra? From Roosevelt University. Where is she? There's so much for my allies. Governor, there are 2 basic questions. What do you do in the future of MAP funding for needy college students? And Christy's question is the whole question of cutting the education budget. What's your position on reducing the funding for education? So you have MAP and general education.
Well, I don't want to reduce funding for education. There are members of the General Assembly, including leaders, who want to do exactly that. One of them, I think, is going to be speaking shortly to the City Club. I don't really think that's a good idea. As I said earlier, that jobs follow brain power. Investing in education pays dividends. We got to have smart people. Now, the MAP program stands for Monetary Assistance Program. It's been around for about half a century in Illinois. It's a scholarship program. The taxpayers of Illinois invest about $404 million providing scholarships for students to go to 4-year university, public or private, in our state, or to go to community college. I've proposed to increase funding in this budget. No matter how hard it is, I think investing in those minds is a very, very good policy for our state. We don't want our well-trained students to leave Illinois. We don't want a brain drain. We want to keep them here. And one way to keep them here is to have a scholarship program where they learn here and stay here. So I do believe in MAP. I worked hard to keep it going and make sure it was properly funded, and we're going to keep on doing that until we get the job done. I'd really like to see MAP greatly expanded. I think it would be a very, very good job producer for our state, but we have to do it within the resources we have.
We have two more questions. One is from I pronounce Hilmi Sinar. Is that right, Hilmi? Where are you? Oh, you ask the question, you run out. That's a good City Club tradition right there. Okay, here we go. We live in one of the most diverse states. He's from the Niagara Foundation. We live in one of the most diverse states. What do you think about cultural organizations? How can the governor's office help growing more cultural organizations dedicated to peace and understanding? Because that's, by the way, the motto of the City Club is peace and understanding.
Very good. Well, I think this is a very good point. Our state is the best reflection of the entire population of America. We just had the census, we're getting the results in. But Illinois, with almost 13 million people, in its distribution of different ethnic groups and races and so on, is almost a perfect microcosm of the entire United States. So we are America right here. And I think we can show America what the 21st century should be all about. We should be embracing diversity. I signed a bill a couple weeks ago to make sure that we have civil unions in our state. I got that bill passed. I had to talk to some legislators, and they switched their votes because they believe in that kind of fairness and that's civil rights. You know, after signing that bill, I was told that some groups with conventions, they're going to come to Illinois. They're going to come to Chicago because they see us as a welcoming, hospitable place. And I think we want to be that for everyone. We have a tremendous number of consuls general in our state from different countries. We want to do business with those countries. We want to have education exchange. We want to make sure that we have cultural exchange. And the Niagara Foundation is doing a wonderful job at encouraging that kind of dialogue. I've participated in that myself. So I do think we have to understand that we live in a global economy. We're not just competing with Wisconsin. We are competing with many places around the world. And we're not going to let maybe folks that don't have vision, don't have any kind of understanding of what maybe the future is all about, hold us back. Illinois is a mighty state, and we will always be a mighty state because we have great people, diverse people. They know how to talk to the whole world, and we want to have the whole world come to Illinois to visit, not only here in Chicago, but to go to Springfield, to see things like the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. It's very, very special. And we have many other special places across downstate Illinois and across our state. And by embracing that diversity, encouraging the Chinese and the Indians and the Japanese and anyone else from any other part of the world to come to Illinois, invest in Illinois, I think we'll be very well suited for the future.
I hold in my hand the last question. Mary D., AARP, my old buddy from WGN a long time ago. It typed out, by the way. This could be a new trend. You haven't heard the question yet. Here we go. Your budget proposal cuts critical pharmaceutical assistance for 188,000 seniors in Illinois. The Medicare Part D changes that were passed as part of the Affordable Care Act will not fully be in effect until the year 2020. What answer will you have come July 1st when those 188,000 seniors aren't able to afford their prescription medications?
Okay. Well, this is difficult. I mentioned earlier the balancing. We have children in Illinois, some of whom go to bed every night hungry. I have to deal with taking care of them. I have to take care of folks who have disabilities and want to work and have an opportunity to be independent. We have to take care of those who are seniors who need what's called community care, that somebody we hire about $10 an hour that goes to their home and takes care of their everyday needs with respect to going and get groceries, cutting the lawn and all that, so they can stay in their home. So all these are balanced. And programs that exist now may have to be trimmed back in order to make sure that everybody is got enough to get by. We have to have core priorities. So we're going to have a debate on the budget process. We'll have, I think, a vigorous debate on that. But the bottom line is we've got education needs, we've got health care needs. We have about 2.5 million people in Illinois that depend on Medicaid for health insurance, for health care. They wouldn't have any if it wasn't for that. We also have to deal with human service needs, people who, for one reason or another, need a helping hand to get back on track. And public safety. We cannot cut back on public safety. Part of what fighting the blizzard was all about was deploying the state police, deploying the Illinois National Guard, deploying our IDOT and our tollway, and all those others who were real heroes in a tough time. 12-hour shifts in whiteout conditions, getting the job done. So that's what I have to do. I have to balance everything. Try and do it in as fair a way as possible. I think you need the wisdom of Solomon, because our legislature, the last 2 years, they haven't cut any programs. They don't want to cut any programs. Their leaders say, please don't include us in having to cut. We don't want to have our name on any of those cuts. What we're going to do is give you a lump sum budget. We'll give you a $10 bill to pay $20 worth of groceries. You figure out where to cut. That's what they've told the governor the last 2 years. I take it on. I don't always, I guess, if I make a mistake, I try to correct the mistake. No one's perfect, but I always like to have dialogue so people can talk about it, debate it, and ultimately I get to decide it. And so getting through these tough times and getting back to a better place, I know we can do this in Illinois. We had a growing economy last year that cut our unemployment rate by almost 2 points, created thousands of jobs. We've got to keep doing that. That's why our public works program is so important, keeps people working. That's why paying the bills to the vendors of our state of Illinois is so important. We pay our bills, those employees of the vendors have a job, keep a job, the vendors add jobs. So we really have to have the focus. The best way to help Illinois is a JOB. As long as I'm around, that's what we're going to do.